If you have the systems in place, you've won the game, right? Because these systems help you scale. And once you can scale, it's yours. You're on an easy street.
And just throwing it all together piece by piece. And then you're like, a month into employment, you're like, oh, did I ever do that background check?
Yeah, I mean, if you're building the airplane on the runway, you're probably not going to be as successful as if you had a functioning airplane.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to ABA Business Leaders, brought to you by 3Pi Squared. I'm April.
Oh, hi. I'm Steven.
All right, guys, you gotta go watch us on YouTube because this guy's facial expressions were quite something just now. He had me laughing.
How dare I?
How's everyone today? Hope you are doing well. You always laugh at me and shake your head when I say that, but I truly mean it. Like, how are you?
I know you do. I just that's
I know
why I laugh.
People can't answer, but I just love connecting, and I want you to know that I'm thinking of you.
I just remember, like, every time you say it, I remember our son screaming out the window during COVID, saying, "Someone come and play with me!" Right? That's what I think of when I hear
like
that.
I'm a kid locked in a room. Not that we locked our kid in a room, but it was COVID. We couldn't really leave the house there for a little while.
Oh.
Yeah, fun times. Yeah. Well, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel kind of sad now. Well, welcome back to our Back to Basics. That was a lot of backs in this name. Anyways, welcome. Please don't turn us off. Give us a minute, okay? We'll get it together here in a second. We'd love for you to join us and listen to everything we have to say today, because I think we have some good stuff to talk about. I think we always have good stuff to talk about, though. So, Back to Basics series. Really loving it. Really digging it. It's great. It's where we go back to the foundations of running an AV. What? Now I can't do my little intro.
I'm really loving it. I'm really digging this intro.
Ooh, now my face is turning red. Seriously, though, welcome. This is where we go back to the foundations of running an ABA business. Whether you're dreaming about starting a company, already running one, or you're preparing for what's next, we will meet you where you are. The earlier you start working on these foundations, the better with us. Or a mentor, please get a mentor.
With us.
The better your chances of success, the fewer problems you'll face, and the smoother your growth will be. Just like in clinical practice, early intervention makes all of the difference. And I got all fancy today and put on some mascara and lipstick, and now you got me like laugh crying. And
you're welcome.
My eyes are running. Okay. We are professionals. Well, maybe. Maybe we just play them on TV. Yeah, we're really professionals. We're just goofy on the screen. No, we're always like this. Anyways, we're excited to introduce our topic for today. Today, we are talking about something every business owner wrestles with at some point.
Okay.
Growth. Growth, yes. Growth feels exciting. More clients, more staff, more opportunities. But with growth comes challenges. If your growth outpaces your systems, it stops being progress and it turns into pressure, right? Like it becomes more stressful. So fast growth looks great on paper until it breaks your culture, your cash flow, or your sanity. I mean, if you even had any sanity to begin with. So that's why sustainability matters more than speed. So sustainability is going to be like the key word today, as we are talking about growth, because in the long run, businesses that last aren't the ones that grow the fastest. They're the ones that grow with intention. One of my favorite words.
Wow.
Yeah. Love it. Love some intention.
Today's word is intention.
And sustainability. Sustainability, growth, intention. Those are the key words.
Sustainability, growth, intention.
With intention, you can grow and continue sustainability.
Moving on.
All right. So when you're just starting out, it's tempting to say yes to everything.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And everyone.
Yeah.
Every referral.
Yeah.
Every request.
Every
opportunity.
funder contract.
And that's how overwhelm sneaks in.
Yep.
And steals your joy. No. When all of these things start to come in, before your foundation is even set, that really gets things going on a rocky footing. Sorry, I have something in my throat.
Well, you do that. I can talk.
Yeah, take it on for a second.
I mean, a lot of people assume that, okay, it's going to take me 3 to 6 months to get in network with providers or funders. So nothing's going to happen that quick, blah, 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 blah. I can just kind of, once that we get closer, I'll take care of this. And then a lot of people realize, wait, I can take single case agreements. And then they're like starting cases in a week, not 3 months.
Yeah.
And they don't start with those foundational pieces. Maybe they don't. I found this intake on the internet. I'm sure it'll be fine, right? I need to hire someone. Oh, I went to, that HR company that also does my payroll and also gives me workers' compensation access and all does that, right? Like, I got this gas station employee handbook. This will be
station.
Yeah, like
the gas stations even have employee handbooks.
I bet you they do. I bet you they do. I bet you Buc-ee's has an employee handbook.
We're all about Buc-ee's here.
Anyway, so like when I say gas station, I mean like you go to the the food at the gas station. You understand what I'm saying? Except for Buc-ee's. So anyway, so you just like and you just go with what you got. You're winging it. You're not really. There is no planning involved. And before you know it, you have a wait list, and you're like, well, you're working so many hours just to maintain your caseload that you're not focusing on, the things that need to build a sustainable business.
Yeah.
And you are more a BCBA than a business owner. And great, awesome, then be a BCBA. But you really need, especially at the start, if you don't have that expertise on your team, you don't have a partner, you don't have somebody else helping you with this, then you need to split your time, because there needs to be as much time planning as doing, the clinical side of things.
Yes.
And if you don't, then I've told this thing so many times, I'm tired of saying it, but I'll say it again. I hear this so often, like somebody comes to me, says they want to start a business, and we do our free consult. I don't hear from them for a year or more, and then they come to me and say the only difference between my company now. Oh, you may get a podcast puppy here. This is quite the podcast. Anyway, so they come to me and say the only difference between the company I left and the one I have now is my name is on the door, and that can be a very difficult situation to find yourself in, especially if you're only focusing now on billable hours because your profitability is so low, you have no other choice. So that is really what can happen when you do not prepare for growth, because almost every ABA practice that I have worked with could just like hit the gas, right, just like floor it, and they like you're not going to have an issue finding people that are desperate for your services. That there are so many kids out there that need help right now, and families that need help. So that is not typically the problem for most ABA practices that we work with. And when, you get those calls and those emails, where they're just, they need your help. It's very easy to say, yes, I'm going to take them all. And without a plan in place to say, no, I can't, I'm sorry, for the sake of all the other clients that I have, right? For the sake of all the other employees
and for your kid, right? Because like this individual that you're trying to take on.
Yes.
Because if you're not able to support your staff and you don't have all the things in place, as he was saying, then we could question the quality of services. She's quite happy with herself. She is not allowed up here. If you're watching on YouTube, which you should just, if you don't typically watch on YouTube, you should definitely come to this episode and watch to see little glimpses of the podcast puppy. She's something else.
She's looking at me very guilty.
Yes, she knows. She's like, Mom's petting me. I'm in her lap. I'm not supposed to be in this chair. And Daddy is like, he's going to kick me out at any moment. So maybe if I'm quiet, I can stay here. Go on.
There we go.
Yeah. Go lay down. Go to your chair. All right. So, some questions to ask yourself or to journal about, right? Can my current systems handle more clients or staff without chaos? Are we handling things now without chaos?
Define chaos, right?
Yes. Okay. So here we go. Back again to the Mighty Mouse. Like, I'm putting out all the fires. Look at me go.
Some people love.
It's very rewarding.
Yes, very addictive.
Yes, it's very rewarding, very addictive, very dopamine filled.
Yeah.
And you guys, just apply the science here, right? That intermittent reinforcement. And a problem happens and you pop in and you fix it and it goes away. What are we going to do more of? Right.
Temporarily. Because you don't have a system in place.
And that's right. And so if you take these opportunities and you say, oh, we need something in place for this. Oh, we need something in place for this. Really, it's a way of practicing the pause, right? When we talk about like emotional regulation and things like that, it's part of that is practicing the pause, or how you react or respond versus reacting, right? How you choose to show up. All of those mindfulness techniques that we've talked about here and there. It's important to be able to recognize what's going on, to be able to pause in that moment, to be able to make that choice of how you're going to show up. And of course, if you have a plan ahead of time and you already know, like in these situations, this is how I'm going to show up, then that makes it a lot easier when you have a plan, right? But so ideally, you would want your current systems to be able to handle the normal amount of chaos and be able to practice that pause when chaos happens, so that, okay, this is this chaos. Oh, we fix it temporarily. We put a Band-Aid on it for this moment. Now it's time for us to pause and think about what we need to put in place to reduce the likelihood of this happening again. And it takes time.
Yeah.
And it's not quite as rewarding. You're not going to see that reward for a while. It's not like putting out a fire and getting a quick fix in that moment and being the savior of that moment and feeling good about it. It's also like when those same things are happening over and over and over again, then it's also starts to go the other direction, right?
It does. But it's also, resent starts to come in. But the thing is that with putting a system in place, if it's a high quality system, right, that actually goes to the root cause of the issue, then you will never see that problem again. Right. So or it's like,
much less
it's not
likely.
It's not even that, hey, it's going to take a long time to get the hit from this situation. It's like, oh, wow, we put this system in place so that it never happens again. So I'm never going to get that.
Or
right.
I never say never, but the likelihood is much less. Yes. And then that opens up gives you some freedom, gives you a little time available to work on other things, right? All these projects that you hope to get to sometime that we have on our list that have been on our list for years that we haven't gone to. I'm sorry, this is not necessarily the beginner stage, but still, kind of talking to the growers at this point. But
and can I just pause you for a second? So if you are able to, as we're talking through this, you're listening to us ramble, it may be a good idea to go to our website. 3pisquared.com, and just scroll down and you will see the readiness questionnaire. This will help you determine if you can scale, in our opinion, successfully. So that may be a good, if you have that time. Obviously, if you're driving, please don't. But if you have some time, we'll try to put it in the show notes.
I was going to say, I think it is in the show notes for most episodes.
But if you go to 3pisquared.com.
Yes, it is. So, at least in Apple, if you're listening to this in Apple Podcasts,
it should be in Spotify too.
And it would still be in Spotify, but there's like a little red thumbtack and it says resources. And then that is the top one, ABA Business Readiness Assessment. So click on that. And right below that's book a consult with Steven, like to, free consult if you want to learn.
So I would urge you to, as we're talking about this topic, just do that survey as well. Again, it's free. You don't even have to get on our email list to take it. It asks you at the end, do you want to be on our email list? And you can just say, no, I don't. And
we would love for you to be on our email list.
Yeah, but you don't have to. Yeah. So I would urge you to take some time and just go through that. I don't know. It's like 60 questions. It's worth your time. It really is. And you will
think it's like a really good self-assessment, like just to give you the awareness of like, oh yeah, I've got this. I know this. I know that I'm aware of this. And then there might be some items where you're like, oh, I wasn't even aware of this. I didn't even think about that. So it just kind of helps kind of give you like a little tool even for self-monitoring and even just to kind of get a good idea of if you're thinking of all the pieces.
Yeah. And I will say that the people that have taken the quiz, I'm going to say probably about 60% do not, in our opinion, have the right tools in place to scale.
Doesn't mean they can't scale, but they just have a little work to do before they should take those next steps.
I would, if you have the systems in place, you've won the game, right? Because these systems help you scale, and once you can scale, it's yours. You're on an easy street, really, seriously. So if you need support helping you get to that point where you can scale, just let us know. Again, sign up for the free consult. Let's have a conversation. But once you get there, it's just so much easier. And there are always going to be times where it's hard. You have one funder that's denying claims randomly. You lose a key employee. Things happen. Life happens, right? But when you have the systems in place, then when those hard things happen, it's easier. It's easier because you have systems in place. So there you go. You can take it where you want.
Systems. Okay. Just a couple more questions you can ask yourself. Do I know what my actual capacity is, not what I hope it is? And you can take that in multiple ways. You can think of it as your own personal capacity, is really kind of where the idea of starting that. But you could also look at it in several other ways too, like your capacity for staff. Like if you're looking at how much staff you have, what's the capacity of clients you can actually take on. I know that kind of opens up the question of, do I hire staff first or clients first? My personal opinion is staff first. And that kind of goes into the viability of your business if you have the funding and the financial ability to be able to hire staff and get them trained and have them ready to go as you're pulling on clients.
Yeah. But and then there's also,
that's a whole side note we won't go down today.
What were you just capacity, right?
Capacity.
Also, like, okay, I have a clinic. It's 2,000 square feet. Do I have the capacity to take on another client in that sense, right? Are my systems in place? Do I have a good enough practice management software or scheduling software to take on more clients? What is my billing capacity at this moment?
Yeah. Right? So you know what I'm thinking about? I'm totally geeking out on this at the moment because, the thing you call brain dump. Yeah. I really don't like that term brain dump, but I love the act of it. But so I like to call it a parking lot. And, I think it's from many years of, growing up being having ADHD.
Going to the dump? Did you go to the dump?
I did go to the dump growing up. It feels judgy to me. And I feel like all the thoughts and all the stuff swirling in my head are very important. And I don't want to put them in the dump, in the trash that you go, the stinky place that you go to back like in rural, I don't know if people have like their dumps regularly, but like I know growing up in rural South Carolina, we didn't have like fancy trash pickup. Like we took our stuff to the dump. And it just, to me, it's just such a little place. I don't want to think about all my beautiful thoughts and ideas going to the dump. Anyway, so I have a parking lot. Okay. Now you know.
Parking lot is better.
No, I mean, it's not a dump.
Be at the dump than the parking
At least
lot.
all they're like tidy. They're like pretty little cars parked in nice little tidy
Except for
spots.
Bucky's parking lot. That is so impressive.
You are so stuck on Bucky's. This is hilarious. All right. So a little activity for you.
Mm-hmm.
Capacity. Take capacity. Make a parking lot. If you must call it a brain dump, fine, whatever you call it. And like think about all the ways capacity shows up within your company. Right? Yes. How could capacity, like we just came up with 4 or 5 just now. Yeah. And so like, what is what are all the ways like you can look at capacity personally, system wise, number of people, like all the things and start to brainstorm that.
Like even like, equipment. Do I have enough iPads and computers for hiring more people?
And so the answer is yes.
Assessment kits to take on more. Do
we have enough Candylands? Yeah. So if the answer is yes, then great. Yes. If the answer is no, okay, then now what? Like, what do I need to be able to bring the capacity up to take on this other thing? Or is the answer like you're at the ceiling? There is no more capacity. It's full.
The last thing I would say on this is like looking at your current clients. Are you utilizing their medical necessity hours to the best of your ability right now? Or are you totally down with 25% cancellation rate, right? Again, these are things that you want to consider as you're building this out. Because if you are dealing with a 25% cancellation rate, which is not unheard of, then, if you have 10 kids, maybe 25% cancellation rate, you can deal with that yourself. But when you have 50 kids and you're dealing with 25% cancellation rate, that is a different, the amount of calls and emails and scheduling, juggling, and all of that insanity. Scheduling is probably, I think it's worse than billing. And when you get to that, like especially if you're dealing with a high cancellation rate. So that's just something to imagine, right? As you're planning this out.
All right. This is a question I think you'll love.
Ooh.
Maybe you even came up with this question. I don't know. You like to break things. And you talk about like breaking things and taking things apart to know what works, know how they work, know like how can you break a system. So what would I break first if I doubled my caseload tomorrow?
Yeah. That's so important to know. Like you have no idea how great it is when you can break something. Yeah, it's better to break it during your planning, so that you can then how to fix it. Right, you can put the things in place to fix it. Yeah, breaking things while it can be super annoying at the time. That's why I love new staff to come on and read policies and procedures and go through the systems and see what assumptions I have input into my system, right, and see if they can get through the onboarding the way that I would have assumed they would do onboarding. And then, asking the question, like genuine question, like, why didn't you finish this? Or why did you do it in this order? Right. Just to know, like, is there something within internally that I can do a better job to make this easier for people to go through it the right way? So this would be the same thing.
That makes sense. So I kind of feel like today the segments, like the starter segment, kind of flows into the grower segment, because when we're looking at growth, right, whether it be your initial beginning growth versus your growth through the stages, right, there's a lot of overlap here. But definitely the earliest that you start putting these systems in place and the earliest that you start testing your systems, like for example, before hiring, run through a mock onboarding. We're like, who's got the time for that? But I'd like to challenge that. Who has the time to not do that?
Yeah.
right? We just really, I know it's like it's not even about the overwhelm and burnout. It's about leading and growing with intention, right? If you slow it down, and I'm not saying you got to go at a snail's pace, but if you slow it down to be in the moment and be intentional with what task you're working on, what project you're working on, what do I want this to look like? How do I want to show up in this? Is this working? Right? And you can answer a lot of those questions by running through.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's necessarily slowing it down, because maybe you slow it down the first time and then you speed it up for the next 15
The
times,
long term,
right?
The long term is you're going to be more efficient.
Correct.
And the long term is you're going to make less mistakes.
Correct.
And you're going to be able to communicate clearly.
Yes.
If you're just like willy-nilly onboarding somebody and grabbing tax documents off the internet, and you're getting the gas station employee handbook, and you know what I mean? Like, and just throwing it all together piece by piece. And then you're like, a month into employment, you're like, oh, did I ever do that background check? And then
yeah, I mean, if you're building the airplane on the runway, or you're building the ladder as you climb it, you're probably not going to be as successful as if you had a functioning ladder or a functioning airplane. So yeah, I think it
doesn't have to be the fanciest ladder.
No,
it's just got to be functional.
It's just got to be functional.
And then you can make it more fancy if you want to as you go. But you have to
unicorns and puppy dogs.
You can have like a fancy. I say I'm loving this little analogy here, but like you can have a fancy ladder. You could be building a fancy ladder as you go, and it still not be functional and not work.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. Because you can start overthinking things. And so, yes, this doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect on the first try. It won't be. And it's not going to be perfect on the 100th try either.
It's got to be good enough, but what does good enough look like? What is the functionality that you need?
Yep.
What do you need when, say, onboarding new staff? What's important for them to know to set them up for success, to set you up for success, to set, ultimately, why are we here? To set the learners up for success, right? And keeping everyone safe. And so, for example, before accepting new clients, reviewing your scheduling and billing capacity. Do we really have, and I know the whole scheduling, sometimes the availability that you're given at, like when you first meet them can kind of change, but then also like knowing your boundaries and what you're going to do. Be like, oh man, I'm so sorry. We were able to take you on because you were available every morning at 10 a.m. And now you're no longer available at 10 a.m. We'd still love to work with you, but we don't have any other availability. We need you to make it work for 10 a.m. or I'm sorry, we're going to have to like refer you out or put you on a wait list, right?
And so knowing that this happens all the time, having a plan in place on how you're going to respond when that happens. Respond, not react, respond when that happens. It's going to help you, right? It's going to, again, it's like, I'm going to take on all the kids that I can possibly take on because they all need my help and I'm the only one that can do it, versus I'm going to provide quality, ethical, sustainable services. Those are probably different things. Those two things are probably different. So that means you probably can't do both at the same time. So having a plan in place is one versus the other. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So, and just one more little test for your system before opening a second location. Document what made the first one successful.
Or what didn't. Yeah. What do you wish you could change on your second location, right? And it's kind of, I assume, because we only have one kid, but I assume it's like, oh, what would I do differently on the second kid? And now it may turn out that you messed that kid up even more than the first one, right? Well, maybe it wasn't.
There's a lot of variability in the personality and everything too, but could be a clinic with with different set of staff and different location. Goodness, get out of my brain, sir.
Yeah. Anyways,
we do like to read each other's minds. Sometimes it really annoys each other. Okay, so slow growth gives you space to learn. I like that.
Yeah, slow I don't growth even gives you know that it's slow. It's strategic.
See, here's the thing. You guys are all going at a insane rate. Fast. Everybody. I'm going to overgeneralize. Everybody's going so fast. And so when we're saying slow, we're not really meaning slow. We mean like normal pace, like a traditional, like a step by step, not a like running all haywire.
Yeah. Again, I'm imagining my child, and we got to get out the door. We got to go now. Right. So let's go. And then he's like, oh, I got to rush. And he's falling all over the place. And then he hurts himself. And then we're slower than we would had we just gone at a normal human pace. Yes. Right. So yeah, this is very simple. Again, you can do this as quickly as possible and you will grow. I can guarantee it. Or you can do it with systems in place and be sustainable, but it's really hard to do both.
So what were those, like, let's bounce back to those words of the day: growth, sustainability, and intention. Just a little reminder for those of you in the back. Okay. So I don't know, let's just take a few minutes and cover maybe anything in our notes here that we didn't cover. As you're scaling. So the whole idea here is like strengthen before you expand. So I think we've you got to build it. You got to make sure it's strong. That whole foundation analogy, right? You're not going to build your house on like stilts that could collapse as you build it.
You can, it's fine, but
you have the choice, but it's not going to be sustainable. So as your company grows, the cracks start to show. We're like full of analogies today. Analogies, right? That's what you call them? Sure. When you say like, okay. Anyways. So the cracks start to show. Like, for example, in your billing, HR, supervision systems. Maybe
handling BCBA candidates.
Well,
right?
like I'm thinking, like, just think about bringing on an RBT and you're doing the, you're getting them up to speed and to be credentialed as a RBT. They've watched all their 40-hour training, and then maybe you sign off on a few competencies that you didn't really have time to hit because you got to get this person out there with the client tomorrow, and you got to get this thing going as fast as you can, and you're going to hit those later and you're going to be checking on them, and so it's okay. Or you're pretty sure they have this because they've got like 5 years experience as a tech hub. Oh, they probably know how to do prompting. That's good. Well, it's going to be a little different for each client. Anyways, that's fine. We'll just like push it on through real quick. Like those are the cracks, right?
They're going to that person's home. I won't see them for 2 weeks. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh no. The background check's going to take 30 days to get back to us.
It's fine.
It's fine. Well, it's fine. They're probably really nice.
Yeah. Oh, we have a new BCBA and they're not going to be credentialed for 6 months. Well, just bill under our current BCBA. That's fine. That's fine.
Do that.
Yeah. This is where, but seriously, we're messing around here a little, but these are the things that happen when you don't have guardrails in place. When you say, I am absolutely not doing what my previous company did, right? I am going to pay my staff for drive time because I am legally required to do it. I am not going to hire a tech as a contractor because that's not a thing that you can do, even if everybody else is doing it. So having these systems in place, it's going to help you.
So knowing, not only knowing your why, but knowing the why is also helpful, right? Like, why do we have competency checks for RBT training? Right. Why do we need background reports? Why do we need people to go through CPR training? Like, seriously, like, you may think, okay, you're being a little ridiculous here, April. Of course we know why these things are. But these are the things that are easily overlooked when we're rushing.
Yes.
Through, and we're not showing up with intentionality and like looking at how can we make this sustainable.
Yep.
Because if we're onboarding a handful of techs in 1 week just to get them going with these clients that we took on that maybe we shouldn't have, and we, all this, and then this other client or this other staff like quit or never showed up to the first day, so now we're trying to juggle, and we hired this other person, we got to get them in ASAP.
Yeah, I would urge you to listen to our news podcast, which is also in the same feed. If that, I guess that's what you call it. But
Comes out every Tuesday morning.
I mean, we took a little break.
We did,
but it's back. We should be back this
by
Tuesday,
the time this airs. We'll be back. Yeah.
Like I don't know how many stories I've done on techs or staff abusing children in this space. One of them, which was like the most concerning for me, is that
not that any of them are not
concerning. But like I guess this one just fills me with dread and just terrifies me, is when this person said they went into this field because they knew that this would be a great opportunity for them. And that I don't know how you, like, unless you have systems in place, I don't know how you catch that person, right? If you're churning out 100% of your staff a year, which this is not an unrealistic number in this space when you're dealing with a larger ABA practice, I don't know how you can catch all of those. And that's terrifying to me. It makes me feel all kinds of things that probably I won't say on a podcast. So yeah, it's really important. And again, well-meaning people without having the right systems in place, either you or your team will start, even with systems in place, sometimes your team may do some shortcuts because we did it this way 15 times. It was fine.
We're human.
Yeah.
That's what humans do.
Yeah. Yeah. Path of least resistance. Right. And so it's just so important to have those guardrails, at least the knowledge that I know that this is the risk and I am willing to accept it. Now, there are some things that you may not be willing to accept, like the abuse of children. I hope that you're not willing to accept that. But there are maybe some other things that, yeah, you know what, I'm going to build this, even though I didn't do all the checks that I should, and I'm willing to accept that, right? That's a different...
Right, but and that goes to knowing what your intention is. What is your intention? Is your intention to do it well, or is your intention just to get it done?
Right.
And both could be right depending on
the topic.
Yes. Right? There are some things that's like, okay, we got to do it good enough. We got to get it done. We got to mark the box.
Yes.
And then there are other things where we have to do this well. And by well, guys, I know you have to define what well is, but like, what is that? Right. And so that's super important, knowing your intention. Even going into a meeting, what's your intention going into this meeting? What's your intention going into this session? What's your intention, every step of the way, like pausing and like, what's my intention going into this and taking that moment? Way back, we did some podcast on mindfulness, and maybe we should revisit some of that as we are doing our back to basics of some of the like basic mindfulness strategies and techniques that you can bring in with as a leader, whether you're just using them for yourself or you start to teach them to your staff.
So
it's definitely important to learn yourself first.
For your techs to have that 5-minute pause before they go into their next session. That can be huge for them. Yeah. Just to say, what is my intention? I'm leaving the last, maybe a really awful session. I'm going to acknowledge that was not ideal. And I have these feelings, but I'm now focusing my energy on this next person.
Or life, right? Yes, your life. Yep. Like, I had a really tough morning getting out the door with my kid, right? So, yeah. Yep. All right. So, let's see. Looking at, like, what cracks are starting to show as you grow. Do I have the right people in the right roles? I read that as whole. Like, talk about cracks and growing and holes like dirt in the ground. Anyways, or am I filling gaps reactively? And I can tell you, and I'm really trying to say this without judgment, right? Because I've been there. Mm-hmm. We do that. We fill those gaps reactively, especially when we're like, in those moments where people don't show up or people quit, ghost us, people, it happens, right? Are my systems scalable, or do they depend on individual heroes? Right? We were just talking with a business owner the other day, and she was noticing her capacity for growth, and she's a very tiny business, and she's looking into practice management software because she's recognizing that the person, the individual hero within the company who is keeping all of their data and their records, she's like the keeper of all of that. What happens if she's out? Or what happens if she quits and this owner doesn't have that same skill set, right? Yeah. And so she's recognizing, okay, I need to start looking ahead to fill that.
Yeah.
Is quality slipping as volume increases? I think that one speaks for itself. Unless you have anything else to say about it.
Again, when you're scaling and you have systems in place, that means you have benchmarks. You know, okay, when we get to this utilization of a BCBA or a tech, based on this quality measure, then we hire or we bring on another client. Or when we get to this utilization of our current clinic, then we start looking for, we do our market research and we find our next location to bring on that clinic. But having these things in place versus, just focusing on the wait list and knowing that you have to bring everybody in because you have this wait list. We have to do it now. Again, those are two different outcomes. One is going to last long term and the other one probably is going to have a lot of difficulty.
So when you've been in business for a while, or when you're preparing for that transition, sustainability really becomes your legacy. And the question starts to shift from how can we grow, at least right now, to how long can we last? And especially if you're getting things ready, you're like, okay, I'm ready to sell, or I'm ready to shift, right? And you've been working on it for a couple of years, like really, really focusing in and getting that. Then what you might want to look at and ask yourself am I growing at a pace my team can realistically sustain? And I would feel like that's true to all levels, really. These, like I was saying, these questions and these thoughts and these points that we're talking about really fit for all categories. But am I growing at a pace my team can realistically sustain? Are we prioritizing quality outcomes over volume? There again, really all levels, right? Have I built a business that could thrive without me pushing every inch of growth? And this is definitely for a transition part of your journey. That's absolutely 100% the right question to ask. And you really should have that question in your mind, that thought in your mind throughout every stage of your business, because that's kind of that's what you're doing, right?
Yes.
You really want to work yourself out of a job. And
yes.
You know what? You may keep your company until you retire, until you pass on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you're not going to want to be the primary leader in your company for decades and decades and decades. Maybe you will.
I mean, how would you feel if you passed on and would your company be able to live without you?
That's true. Going back to that emergencies episode a few episodes back, right? Like that is something we really strongly started to look at and talk about, right? Is what happens when you have an emergency and you have to step away for a minute.
I mean,
you've passed away.
Your company is different than ours, right? Like it's not. So if I die, well, nobody's going to be taking this spot, right? So it is what it is. I am 3 pi squared.
Oh my God.
Right? You
help me, guys. Help me.
There's the two of us. This is it, right? And we have a team behind us. But this podcast probably wouldn't continue, right? It just wouldn't. At least not this. Not in
the same capacity.
Yeah. And
right?
that's different from your business. I think it's important to say that. I mean, there are some businesses where the leader is the company. They are the brand, right? And then there are some that it's not quite. It can't be like that, right?
And I really feel like that's also true to ABA business leaders, especially those smaller companies, right?
Yes.
But yeah. yeah, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet, right? Because
Yeah, I know you had a difficult time transitioning where you couldn't see every client. Right?
I
You didn't
hated
know
it.
all their names. You didn't visit all the families.
It really,
right?
truly wasn't for me. It really wasn't for me. And at the same time, I didn't see myself being in that same spot for my whole life. Like, I wanted the company to grow, and I wanted to be able to take a step back and be able to do other things. And at the time, we had a very young child, and I wanted to be able to spend more time with him. And at the same time, it was really hard. I didn't want to grow beyond being able to know if someone came to me talking about a particular learner, I wanted to be able to picture that learner and know that learner's personality and know the family situation. And that was a struggle. So there's so much more. And, you know, like we say often in these podcasts, what we're chatting about in these 45 minute to an hour little podcasts, we're just hitting the surface. We're just getting the conversation going. We're just getting you thinking. It does by no means covers every aspect of the topic. And, you know, there's all these interpersonal things as we grow as a human, as a person, as alongside of growing our companies, right? That it's a journey on multiple levels, much like, and I say this because I'm a parent. And so I see some of the parallels where I feel like growing the company has grown me. Like I'm almost like, just almost like in the way of reparenting myself as a parent, my child. I also have grown myself as I'm growing as a leader, as I'm growing within the company. You know, I have to learn and grow and change. And I think there's some interpersonal openness, and there again, potentially some mindfulness there of being able to be in the moment, and be intentional, but yeah, some openness to be able to grow and change. All right. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there is anything else I want to. There is like a tip that I'll just throw as we close today, as we finish today's time together. You could set an annual pace check. We talk a lot about setting your own internal audits. I talk about, hey, pull up your calendar, pick a day, and to do this thing, even if you just do it for 15 minutes a time once a month or something. But you could look at set a pace check and look at 3 areas. You could pick your areas, but team health, financial health, client outcomes perhaps could be the top 3. And if one is declining while the others rise, that could potentially be a flag to show that your growth is not sustainable, that it's lopsided. So it gives you the chance to, there again, be in the moment, check your baseline, check to see where you're at right now, and then adjust that pace before burnout, turnover, or quality decline. Force it for you. Yeah. So on that note, I would love to hear more about your journey and how you have experienced growth. Or if you have any questions about, like, you're in the midst of growth and this has, you've taken the questionnaire, the readiness questionnaire, or you've, or listened to the podcast and it's gotten you thinking and you're realizing, maybe I am, in a period of growth, rapid growth even, and I'm not quite sure if it's sustainable. I'm not quite sure that I'm doing it with intention, or you just have very specific procedural questions. Yep. We would love to hear from you. So, we do have a podcast hotline. And so if you would like to call that number, it is in our show notes. I'll say it here in a minute, but in case you're driving and you can't write it down, it's in the show notes. So you can just look it up there. But we'd love to hear from you. And our number is 1-737-330-1448. And you select option 1. And, so let us know if you have any questions about growth. If you have any stories to share with us about growth. And we'd love to hear from you. And also, if you have a second, we would love for you to rate and review the podcast on whatever platform that you are listening to it on. And then we are on YouTube, like today, right? You get to you go see us on YouTube. Go check out our podcast puppy. And sometimes our expressions and things can come across when you watch it that you don't get to experience in the audio version, like Steven yawning over here. But yeah. And we would love to see views on YouTube and like and subscribe, but that's the YouTube one. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time.
Share with a friend.
Oh yeah, share with a friend. That's the other ask. My asks at the end of the podcast have exponentially grown. So thank you for hanging in here and listening to this. But yeah, share with a friend. This podcast with a friend. And then also it would be a great way to collaborate with those in your community because that's super, super important. All right. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.